Live now.
Hello, good evening, everybody. We're just going to give it another minute or so just to see if we have any more people joining us, and then we will get started. I think Mr. Williams will probably get started, as this is being recorded, so that any parents who missed the first part can always join us by watching the recording. So good evening, everybody. It's lovely to have you all with us. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited that we get to have this meeting, that we have the possibility of a girls prep ski trip in the offing for next March. I'm very excited about the possibility of running a ski trip at the Girls Prep. It's something that I've been doing in schools I've been working in for the past kind of 10+ years, and have just found huge benefits to the children by going on a ski trip at the prep age group. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I think it would be a really lovely addition to our residentials that we offer the girls here at the Girls Prep. I'd like to introduce Rhodri Bendall. He is the owner of Snowstar, giving you a wave there. I've actually worked with Rod at my two previous schools and have been hugely impressed, comparing it to other companies I've worked with the trips that he organises for the girls. I think what sets Rod apart from other companies that I've worked with is that his trips are very much prep focused, and that everything is tailored to the age of the girls, rather than it being a senior school trip that is just used for younger girls. So Rod, I don't know whether you wanted to kind of just say a quick hello.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for coming. Thank you as well for that going well. I think we've been really lucky, haven't we, over the last few years, working with different schools that you've been involved with. And you're right, we do our very, very best to make sure that we do tailor our trips, regardless of who it is that travels with us. But as far as prep schools go, they are very unique, I think, in regards to what you guys require. But I think we've found a pretty good mix of what's what, and we look forward to getting Surbiton on board next year, and I'm sure we'll have a great time.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, if we can put the PowerPoint slides up, please, and then I'll work through those. I think we're
just coming through shortly. Bear with me a second.
Thank you.
There you go.
Great. Oh, let me see. Hold on. There we go. So as I mentioned, Rhodri is from Snowstar. That's a company that I've been working for quite a few years. They do provide us with a really bespoke tour for our school ski trip, which I think makes a real difference when we're taking girls of this age away. What I'm going to do this afternoon is talk through how the trip will run, and hopefully answer many of those questions you might have. You do have the opportunity to type your question into the Q&A box on your screen, and then Mr. Williams can have a look through those, and then he can let me know those questions that I haven't perhaps answered throughout. If there's any questions that are very specific to your child, very happy to chat with you afterwards at another time, where we can go through if there's any specifics that would pertain just to your daughter. So to give you an overview, is the place that we're hoping to take the Girls Prep next year is the same location that I have done my previous five ski trips. It really does give us everything that we want from our Girls Prep trip. So I'm going to run through that this evening, and then, as I said, if you have any questions, you can just kind of add them into the Q&A box as we go along. So as with most tour groups, we have the financial protection that comes from Snowstar. We also have in the past, well, actually, I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that afterwards. So what's included? What's really important to us on this trip is that this is an all-inclusive price. So we have price this initially at 1,700. That would be the maximum cost that it would cost you for your daughter. That is probably higher than actually what it will end up being, but obviously it's dependent on how many children we get signed up for the trip. Has a slight impact on the overall cost, but that would be the maximum amount that you would pay for your daughter. It's important to note that that is a fully inclusive price. There would be no added extras that you would need to pay for your daughter. So as you can see, it includes the flights and the transfers, full board accommodation. That includes a hot lunch on the mountain every day, a full breakfast and a hot 3-course meal in the evening back at the hotel. That's all the ski hire. Girls, of course, who do have their own ski equipment are very welcome to bring that, but you don't have to have anything. We do provide everything. A 5-day lift pass, instructors for 5 hours a day, an evening activity programme, pocket money for the girls. We include that in the price, so the girls get to spend a little bit of pocket money when we visit the local shops, and a Surbiton High Girls Prep ski hoodie is included in that cost. The only addition which would be an optional thing would be whether we ran a coach to Heathrow. So it might be if we find that the best flights for us are either from Heathrow or Gatwick, depending on the times. We also have the option of adding in a coach so the girls can travel from school, but we sometimes find that parents like to drop the girls off themselves at the airport, so that would be an optional addition. So in terms of the itinerary, the dates that we have penciled in currently are from Wednesday the 22nd of March 2023 till Tuesday the 28th of March. So that's 6 nights in Austria with 5 full days of skiing. So you can see here from looking at the itinerary that we would leave on the Wednesday. We'd then have the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which would be skiing. All our food and drinks that whole time we're there, the full board. The 5 full days of skiing, that's 5 hours a day of lessons, and then all our evening activities, and that also includes our hot chocolate on the mountain, which is a quite a for the girls, I think, is one of the highlights, getting to have hot chocolate on the mountain most afternoons. We will then check out on the Tuesday. We'll get a coach transfer back to the airport and then return to the UK. Now, the airports, we have 2 options. We can either fly into Munich or we can fly into Salzburg. And what we've done in the past is we found that with girls of this age, we look for the best flight times. So we look to see which flight times will get us into resorts so the girls are not too tired. So we're not looking to save money by getting a time that needs us to be at Heathrow at 4 AM. What we want to do is get reasonable flight time so the girls are rested before they get there and that they're ready for that skiing. So that is something that we would confirm at a later date. So in terms of the staff, the trip would be fully staffed by Girls Prep staff. You'll be pleased to know we've had a lot of staff who are keen to accompany the trip, which is lovely to see. We're looking for a maximum of approximately 45 girls on the trip. Now, that's not to say that if we had 46, 47, we'd not let those girls come. I wouldn't want to not be able to take anyone, but that is a good kind of number that means that we have a really good sense of the girls on the trip and we can keep a really close eye on them, but it's a good amount for the girls as well. We will have staff ratios of 1 to 7. So that's our Girls Prep staff with the girls from the Girls Prep. In addition to that, we also have all the Snowstyle staff as well. And they're with us the whole week. So it means that we have our core group of staff that we're working with. So we have our own instructors from Snowstyle who work with us. So we're not sending the girls out to different groups. It is our core group of Snowstyle staff who work with us the whole week, and that they are the only instructors that the girls will come across. Our ski group instructor ratio, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have a maximum of about 10, don't we, in a group?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolute maximum of 10, but very unusual to have 10,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we find with the ski groups is we wait until we get there until we organise the girls into their ski groups, because what we find is the best way of doing it is for the girls to be watched by the instructors so that we can sort them into their groups. We may well have a group of girls who've never set foot on snow before. We may have 2 groups like that. We might have 1 advanced group. So we tend to wait until we're there to sort the girls. But the nice thing about the way our ski groups run is it's very fluid. So it means girls can move in and out of groups depending on how they're getting on throughout the week. It might be they're a bit rusty they haven't been skiing for a few years, but then after they get their ski legs for a few days, we can move them groups. There will always be a girls prep member of staff with the beginner group. So for those girls who've never been on snow before, who, you know, it's all a bit unusual for them putting on their boots, we'll always have a girls prep member of staff with them. The girls prep staff won't be skiing with a set group. What we do is we ski in and out of all the groups, so we get to see all the groups in action. And the reason for that is I found from past experience that actually it tends to be a bit detrimental if children get used to a certain member of staff being with their group, because what happens is their focus comes away from their ski instructor. Often if they know that there's one of their teachers there, it gives them less opportunity for that independence and that resilience. And so what we found is that by the school staff skiing in and out and getting to see the girls all the time, that's much better than arranging for one member of staff to stick with a group. The girls are fully supervised at all times, and obviously that's really, really important to us from a safety point of view. So there'll be no time when the girls are not fully supervised, whether that's on the mountain skiing, in the restaurant for lunch, or in the evening in the hotel, or during our evening activities. And as I said, we have those Snowstar staff on hand throughout the week in the chalet and also in the ski area, and they're with us at all times. So travelling, we decided that we would travel with BA or Lufthansa, mainly because of their good safety record, but also they have really high levels of service, but also, like I mentioned before, those sympathetic flight times, because it is really important to us that the girls come into the resort rested and that we haven't had a ridiculously early start. Accommodation. The place that we're staying is called, it's a village called Altenmark in Pongu, and it's the resort, I always say this wrong, Rod, it's Zauchensee, isn't it?
You're getting better.
Oh dear.
Zauchensee.
Sorry, yes. Haven't quite got the pronunciation after all these years.
Being Welsh, it's easy to have that guttural sound. We find it easily. Yeah.
So the Hotel Martowit is the family-run hotel that I have been staying at with prep schools that I've worked at in the past. It's a really lovely hotel with owners who it has gone through many generations of the same family. They are really used to school groups, which I think is really important. They know exactly what we need, and they are just absolutely lovely with the girls. And I think, as I mentioned before, about what's important with a prep trip is that we do tailor it to the age of the girls. You know, so we've had in the past that we needed a load of washing done, or we needed them to, you know, just do those little extra things that they're so happy to do and make us feel so welcome, and the girls feel so cared for. So as I said, it's a hotel that I have stayed at for many years with girls prep ski trips, and feel really comfortable and confident that it's the best place for us to be. So we have the rooms in the hotel are very warm and inviting, or they all have ensuite facilities. There's approximately 2 to 4 girls per room, and obviously we talk to the girls before we leave about who they would like to share with, to make sure we get those friendship groups right. The girls will be split in their rooms on several connecting corridors, and there will be a staff member on each corridor, so the girls always know where a member of staff is should they need them. Meal times, as I mentioned, we have a fully all-inclusive full board. So in the morning we have a continental style breakfast, huge amount of choice, and I think that's important for girls who might be a little fussy. In the morning there's a huge amount of choice that what the girls can choose from, cereals and toasts and croissants and just a variety of meats and cheeses and condiments and all the things that the girls love to eat. Lots of fresh bread, and then we have a cooked meal on the mountain each day. So every day the whole group will go and meet at a restaurant for lunch. So for the first part of the week, that is at the bottom of the mountain, because obviously our beginner skiers haven't quite progressed to get to the top of the mountain. And then as the girls progress through the week, we then get to be able to take the beginners up the mountain, because they've been on the nursery slopes, and then we meet in a restaurant up the mountain. So all the girls get to experience eating together every lunchtime, and I think that's really nice for them, particularly when they've been split out into their groups for the skiing and the lessons they're having, that they all get to come back together at lunchtime. They have a cooked meal at lunchtime which they can choose, so the girls have access to the menu in the morning, and actually this was something, as I mentioned before, about Rod's company doing a really good job of tailoring to the prep school age group is that this was something that we added into the trip that I did with my previous school in February, is that the girls got to choose their meal in the morning with their ski instructor so that it was ready for them when they arrived at the restaurant, and it meant we just had a much slicker lunchtime process really. So things like that, the girls getting to choose what they'd like to eat for their lunch, and then there's the very much loved hot chocolate halfway through the mid-afternoon so that the girls can look forward to that. It also gives a good opportunity for when there's tired legs and tired bodies, their instructors will come and bring them down and they can have a hot chocolate. Some of the more advanced groups might have a hot chocolate up the mountain, and it also gives the teachers an opportunity to come and meet the girls, chat to them, see how they're getting on, and check in with them when they're not actually skiing. In terms of the hotel can provide any dietary requirement. So whether that is a child who has a gluten allergy, whether that might be a child who's dairy free, the hotel can supply halal meat. So any dietary requirement that your daughter may have can be sorted by the hotel. And actually in the past they've worked really hard to make sure that those girls get a really kind of nutritious and balanced meal each day for their breakfast and their dinner, and actually those girls who might have any allergies are catered for well as well. So the ski area, it's a very large ski area, as you can see here, 865 kilometres. There is a part of the World Cup Grand Prix circuit is held in this area, but what makes it a really good area for our girls is that it's a real mix of terrain, but it has an excellent beginners area. And I think that's important for those girls who've never skied before, is that there is a really nice, large and beginners area, which actually there's two slopes of the beginners, so they can even work up the kind of gradients of the beginner slope, and then there's a very easy lift to get up to the top of the mountain and a lovely long blue that comes down from the top of the mountain. So for those girls who are total beginners who've never stepped foot on snow before, sometimes on ski trips it can be quite difficult for them because they spend their whole week on the nursery slopes. The nice thing with this area is that our girls will always get to the mountain, and they will always have an opportunity to try a proper run down a mountain, and that's how they see it, rather than spending their week on the nursery slopes. And then for our more advanced skiers, and having taken girls away before who are very advanced skiers, there's some really challenging areas for the girls to ski in. All the skiing is done on piste. We don't take the girls off piste, apart from at the sides of the piste when they might go off little jumps and things, the more advanced ones, but everything is done very controlled and with obviously safety as our first priority. So the area, as I mentioned, it links a couple of areas together. So the nice thing is that our advanced groups do get an opportunity to go off on, I can't remember what we called them this year, when they go off on their kind of safari, that was it. The more advanced groups get to go off on a bit of a ski safari for a couple of days at the end, which means they get to try more challenging terrain as well. So as I mentioned, all the pupils will be provided with equipment. If they do have their own, they're very welcome to bring that with them. What we do is we get all those details from you before the trip, so that it means once we get there, we don't have this hours and hours of waiting to get all the girls all kitted out. So we will know beforehand the size helmet, the size boots, the size skis, etc. that the girls will need, and they will all be ready for us at the hotel the day we arrive. So we arrive from the airport, the girls check into their rooms, and then all their ski equipment is there ready for them to try on, make sure it all fits, so that the next morning we're ready to go. And of course, throughout the week, if we needed to change equipment, we have that ability to as well. So the ski school that we use, all the instructors are internationally qualified, and they also continue their training with Snowstyle as well. And what's nice is that those instructors work for Snowstyle for that week that we're with them and with the other schools. So they know our expectations, they know what we want from them in terms of giving the girls a really, really good experience. And I think it goes without saying, to show what a great company Snowstyle are, that they have their same ski instructors returning year after year to work with the girls and the prep school groups, because they enjoy it so much and they get a lot from it. And the girls, build some really good friendships and relationships with their ski instructor and have a lot of fun with them. as you would expect, all the instructors are DBS checked, and they all speak fluent English as well, which is really important. So we don't have those language worries that the girls won't will struggle with communicating with their instructors. So to give you a rough idea of how the day would be broken down, approximately, and these are very flexible. And I think the nice thing about us being a standalone group is that we can change these times if we needed to. So approximately 9 till 11:30, the girls will ski. They'll then have an hour for their lunch, where the teachers will meet them, and then they'll ski in the afternoon, broken up by a hot chocolate and a rest. What's really important is that, as I said, this is flexible. So if we find the night before the girls are really tired, maybe some haven't slept that well, or they're super excited, we can have a lie-in and we can say, do you know what, we'll have breakfast a little later. The hotel are really happy to accommodate that for us. We'll have breakfast a little later and we'll have a slightly slower start to the day. Or we might find that actually the girls are raring to go and we'll go a little earlier and we'll start our lessons a little earlier. So the nice thing is we have that flexibility. I think one thing I didn't mention is that the hotel is set a very short bus ride away from the bottom of the slopes. We have our own coach that takes us to the slopes every day and back again. So again, we're not relying on public transport. We're not relying on anyone other than our own coach driver, who is with us for the whole week, who takes us to and from the resort. And that is a very short kind of 10-minute on the bus to get from the hotel to the bottom of the mountain and then back again in the afternoon. And as I said, because we have that flexibility, we can say to the bus, you know, we'll come half an hour later so the girls can have a bit of chill time in their rooms and start the day a bit later. So as I mentioned before about having lunch on the mountain, what's really nice is that we have the Snow Star have built up some really good relationships with the mountain restaurants, which means they're fully prepared to cater for us in our own section of the restaurant. So for the first few days, we use a restaurant at the bottom of the mountain. As I said, the girls can choose in the morning what they'd like for their lunch, and then we have our own pretty much take over most of the restaurant with our group of girls and sit everyone together so they get to see their friends. And every restaurant has a really good selection of traditional Austrian food, but also your kind of chicken nuggets and sausages and whatever the girls, you know, it might be something that they like the look of, but there is a wide selection for them. So the evening entertainment, which I think for the girls is as much fun as the skiing, we have a variety of things that the girls can take part in through the week. So ice Stockenschen, I definitely haven't said that right, is a really fun game that I actually did with the girls at my last school for the first time this year, which is essentially on a long stretch, a bit like an ice rink, and it's a bit like, I think the best way to describe it is a bit like Skittles, isn't it, Rod? Oh, I think you might be on mute, Rod.
There we are. Sorry, I'm back. It's like a combination, I think, of curling and Skittles, and you know, it's something that we brought back into our program. We kind of got rid of it for a couple of years. But again, it's all about trying to work out what's right for this age group. And actually, with secondary schools and colleges and so on, it wasn't something that they really warmed to, so we got rid of it. But actually, always thinking about what we can improve on. And this was an activity that we felt would really work with a prep school age, and it really does. And they get a lot from it. It's very different. You can't, of course, do it in Britain. It's a very traditional Austrian game, which is played every week. They have leagues and teams and stuff, and they take it ever so seriously. And it's something that the girls absolutely loved. So yeah, it's good.
Thank you. So then that would be one of the evening activities. Another one would be hugely popular is taking the girls to the snow park, which is essentially a big patch of snow that has kind of little hills and dips, and they have a massive snowball fight and build snowmen and roll around in the snow and get themselves absolutely exhausted and having the time of their lives because they get to bury the teachers in snow, and that's very much one of the highlights, I think, of the week.
Huge highlight.
Yes, we also do snow tubing. Snow tubing is on a local man's farm, and he's set up his own snow tubing, I guess, I don't know what you'd call it, track, I guess, where they actually, all the girls will get their own tube. They get attached to a very small lift that drags them up in the tube to the top, and then it's a purpose-built path that they come back down, and there's they can go in tubes together, and there's lots of squealing, and we take videos of them, and they have a great time, and they really enjoy that. We also have a pizza night where we go to a pizza restaurant, as well as a quiz night, and that's quite a nice opportunity to have some more downtime, some quiet time in the evening. And then at the end of the week, we have a presentation ceremony where all the girls get rewarded for their hard work. The instructors say a little bit about each of them. They all get presented with certificates, and they have a really lovely evening, kind of celebrating what they've achieved over the course of the week. We also do some fun things. The staff do some fun things where we will recognise girls throughout the day. We have some quite fun helmet covers that the girls can wear on their helmets. So we have wipeout of the day for a girl who's done a particularly good wipeout, and they get to wear the special helmet and get a certificate. So there's lots of fun things that we add in as well to make the experience really special for the girls. So a way of keeping in touch. Now, this is an option for us to do. It's not necessarily something we definitely have to do, but what I've done in the past is we've set up a private Instagram account. So it's only accessible by people we allow to join, who are the parents of the girls on the trip. And it means you can see constant updates of how they're getting on. You can see how much fun they're having. We put short videos on there, photos of all the things they've been getting up to. And it's a really nice way for you to kind of enjoy the trip alongside them. You will always be able to contact us were there to be an emergency, and obviously the normal ways that we run residentials here at the Girls Prep would apply. We ask that the girls don't bring their mobile phones with them. They're just not needed. They just don't have time for it. They're just too busy having fun, to be honest. And as you know, with residentials, it's always best for the girls to say goodbye to you at the beginning of the week and know that they're then away with their teachers, and that they see you at the end, and that we find that actually phoning home just increases homesickness. It doesn't make it better. So in terms of the advice, depending obviously on your passport, if you have a UK passport, it does have to be valid for 6 months from the date of arrival. We encourage everyone to have a global health insurance card. They're the new EHIC cards, which means we can get easy access to healthcare when we're out there. And we do allow extra time for us to pass through border checks, particularly if we know that we've got girls on different passports that we might need to go through passport control with them. I think, yes, just so moving on to the price. As I said, that price is all inclusive. The only thing it doesn't include is travel insurance. And the reason for that is, in my experience in the past, we found that so many families already have travel insurance, they end up paying for more when they don't need to. So we can certainly recommend travel companies that will insure your daughter when she's not traveling with you. But in most cases, we found your family policy will allow your daughter to travel on a school trip when she's in loco parentis with the teachers. And so for most of you, you may find that you're actually already covered. So we felt it was something that we didn't need to add an extra kind of £50 for when most families had that insurance already. So what next? To reserve your daughter's place, and obviously making sure that we have enough. We've had a really good expression of interest, which I'm really pleased to see. So I'm very confident we will get enough girls for the trip to go ahead. But we would ask that you reserve your place by paying £400 as a backs payment by the 15th of June. And then there will be 2 payments of £650 approximately added onto your autumn term and spring term invoice. Now, what we found in the past is that once we return from the trip and we've taken into account all those incidentals that we pay for while we're out there, often there will be a bit of money we can return to you as we haven't quite hit that total amount. So I think now is probably a good opportunity, Mr. Williams, to see if we have any questions of things that I haven't covered.
Absolutely. So we've got the first question is there a possibility to include the boys' prep in this trip?
Yes, so actually this was something that I have spoken to Mrs. Chung about. We've had lots of conversations about this. The hope is in the future that the ski trip will be a joint girls prep and boys prep ski trip. For next year, the boys prep already have their sports tour organised, so we felt it would be too much to give some of those boys, that would be their 3rd residential, mainly from a financial point of view, but also for the boys as well. So it was decided that next year would be a girls trip, and then the following year would be a girls trip and a boys joint trip. That's the plan at the moment.
Thank you very much. And the other question is about one-way travel. If parents wanted to then meet the girls at the end of their trip, so they could then carry on their family ski trip, would it be possible to book a one-way trip only?
Yes, definitely. So that's something that we've actually had, has been quite popular in the past actually, and has worked quite well. So we've had, in the trips I've run previously, we've had the option of parents either coming to meet us on the last day at the hotel and collecting their daughters there, or perhaps if they were going somewhere else, coming to meet us at Munich Airport. And meeting your daughter there, and then you can carry on the trip. And I know that for lots of families, if you do ski at that time of the year, it's a really nice way of you having a bit of time skiing, and then your daughter's having a bit of time skiing with you. One thing I have mentioned to parents in the past is we just ask of it, if you are skiing at the same time, that you do ski in a different area to where the girls are skiing. So we ask that you don't ski in the vicinity until obviously you come to collect your daughter, and then you go off for your ski trip. Just because, as we've mentioned before, when the girls are away, it's really good that they know that for that week they're with their teachers and their ski instructors, and we keep that a girls prep trip. And it becomes very unsettling for the girls if they know they might bump into mum or dad on the slopes. So we ask that for that week you ski somewhere else, but then by all means at the end come and join your daughters and go off somewhere.
Lovely, thank you. And one last question is, where do we pay the £400? So someone's very keen. I'm assuming the information will be sent out very shortly.
It will be, yes. We'll send that out in a letter. That will be paid into the school account, and then the subsequent payments will be on your termly invoice that you receive in the autumn term and the spring term.
Fantastic. And there's only one other thing. Are we sure we don't need any parent helpers?
I know. Do you know what? It's such a fun trip, and the girls, you know, come away having had, I think it's fair to say, the kind of experience of a lifetime. And if they didn't love skiing before they came and they were a beginner, they certainly go away loving it, and no doubt badgering parents to take them if they've not been before. Unfortunately, we can't take parents, but hopefully we give your daughters a taste of skiing that you can enjoy with them for the future.
Fantastic. So those are all the questions. So if we're all done, we can wrap this up, and then, as I say, the video will be sent round. So if anyone has missed it, then we will be able to share that shortly after.
Yeah, I've just thought of one thing actually, just before we finish, is that, as I mentioned before, what we normally do is we fly from in previous years, we've always flown from Heathrow to Munich, and we've landed in Munich, and then the coach has picked us up in Munich to drive us to the resort. And that's about a 2-hour drive from Munich airport to the resort. So just, I realised I hadn't mentioned that. There is the opportunity to fly into Salzburg, which is a shorter transfer to the resort, but that generally is done on whether the flight times are sympathetic for when we want to go. But I think that's everything. And as I said, if there is something I haven't covered and you think of it afterwards, please, drop us an email and we can certainly get back to you. And if you do have anything that is specific to your daughter, I'm very happy to chat to parents one-to-one and go through anything. But I'm really confident that we can have a really excellent experience for the girls and introduce a really good new residential for the girls. Thank you. Thank you very much to Rod, and thank you, Mr. Williams, for facilitating this evening. And it's been lovely to talk to you all this evening, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much.